How this came about? Is this something you guys talked about doing, or how did it come about?
Well, obviously, Kevin Palga does the scheduling here, and we were looking for games. And I think Brown, for the most part, Mike Martin, head coach at Brown, does a good job of trying to take players back to where they're from. And so he has two guys on the team, one being Dan Friday, small world story, played for Colin Donnelly, who's our assistant video coordinator's dad at Jesuit, and then with Paxson. So that's kind of how it started, and good relationship with them and their staff. And they were looking for a bye game in a sense, and so it allowed him to bring two players home. So that's how it kind of got going.
What is it like, wanting to support your son but having to coach against your son?
Yeah, I don't know. It's also my scout, so I've watched Brown more than anybody, right? But it's just a great time in life, really. I mean, when you've done this for a long time, and how many parents are going to soccer and baseball and basketball all around the country, and so many parents put so much into their youth sports with their kids, and then to see your sons kind of grow up and develop and actually have a chance to play in college is pretty special. We don't take it for granted. We're very, very, very grateful.
You got to see him some at Moneyball this year, right? For the summer.
Did I?
Yeah.
Yeah, I watched too much of Moneyball.
But that was, how often did you get to see him until that, play?
Yeah, it's interesting. I have not seen him. This is what's crazy about it. I have not seen him play in person at Brown yet until Saturday. So the one game I was going to get to last year was at Rhode Island, but it got canceled due to COVID. It was on December 22nd after we played our last game before Christmas. So I got the one Harvard game last year on Martin Luther King Monday, saw Denham, but I didn't get to Paxson. And so the last time I'd seen him play in person was during COVID, when we were in the quarantine, whatever, in our bubble. I got to see him play at Valpo because you could go to games in Indiana, but you couldn't go to games in Chicago.
What is it like doing scout for this game and on him? Izzo mentioned it. You brought it up.
Well, it's really weird. We just went over personnel and all the plays and stuff, and the odd thing is all the players know him. So I don't refer to him as Wojcik. I refer to him as Paxson. So it's kind of cool, and he's friends with all those guys. I mean, my two boys are really fortunate being in the Ivy that we get them home in the summer. They don't have summer basketball or training like we do, so they train with us. So they're in the weight room every morning, and I think our players and Paxson would consider those guys friends, and they would consider Paxson a friend.
I know you can't watch them in person, but those Harvard Brown games last year, how nerve-wracking were those for you to kind of track it?
Well, I think it's harder when you're in person. So my wife goes out about every 2 weeks. So the cool thing in the Ivy League is they play Fridays and Saturdays once they get in the Ivy League play. So by train, Providence is just about 30 minutes from Cambridge, from Harvard. So she goes to one on Friday and the other one on Saturday. So to watch them play against each other, I've done that before on in AAU. But it's all good, I don't get too. I mean, I'm a dad, and you want them to do well. But I also realize how grateful and fortunate and kind of blessed we are to have this happen.
We know what logo you'll be wearing, but how about the rest of your family? And will there be a lot of people in the building?
My wife will, she'll be sitting behind the Brown bench.
Okay. She'll have a brown shirt on with a Michigan State fleece over top of it.
Yeah,
so they can't see it.
We know who pays the bills, but what's really cool is Harvard is off for 2 weeks, and they don't have practice Saturday and Sunday, so we're flying Denham in.
Nice.
So he'll be here for the game, and then I have my best friend from high school coming up, and his wife, and some other folks. But just really, really a great opportunity. And then what I was saying to Max coming down here is we're really lucky because he actually is a player. He actually plays, So it's not like I'll be rooting against him, during the game. But I mean, it's just kind of cool to. I think the introductions will be a really special time.
Going into this whole non-conference schedule,
Mm-hmm.
Izzo kind of joked at the beginning of the year you guys would be lucky to be 1-7 by the time everything was done, but with that first stretch. But for you to win and have a win to close out before you enter Christmas break, how important would that be for you guys?
Yeah, it's really important. I mean, last night, as you know, was really important. There's a lot of ways to look at it. I don't know what Coach has said to you in his private conversation or in his conversations, but you know, to come out of Portland, we were really excited to be 2-1. I mean, you're talking about, you know, playing a good Portland team on their home floor. And then, you know, just kind of hit a wall a little bit, and then you realize the impact of 2 of your best 6 players being out. So for us to win tomorrow, kind of get ourselves back at home, and knowing that we're in finals and then we're going to be home for a month, really is helpful for us, especially with trying to get Malik back, get his timing back, and get him in shape and things like that.
As long as we got you here, I know you work with Marty a lot.
Yeah.
What would you like to see him kind of break out there at the beginning of the year? And does life get tougher then when you maybe move up the scouting report a little bit?
You know, it's funny. I think Marty's like an unbelievably innocent, you know, humble person. And so I don't think he's ever lost that, but I just think when you play as well as you did in the Gonzaga game, and you've had that kind of impact, and then the Kentucky game, well, every game is different, and Coach has probably talked to you guys because he said it to us, just how many different types of games we've played already, like different styles, playing small. I mean, last night we go the last 6.5 minutes of the game playing small because we had to. So for Marty, it's not always going to be able to, we're not always going to be able to screen and roll to the rim and throw it up and have him dunk. So I think it's him understanding that it's different every night, right? And, you know, even for him last night, within one night, it was different from one half to the second half. So I think he's growing into that. And I said this, you know, relative to our team, those 9 games that Marty got, he learned a lot. You know, those 9 games Jaden Akins didn't get. Even though Jaden played more last year, he hasn't played the minutes that he's playing now. So we need him to get that same kind of experience that Marty's gotten, learn from it, and then kind of go from there. But understand that no 2 games are alike.
Doug, I'm wondering, when you're putting together that scouting report, and it comes up time for your own son. I mean, you're a coach, so you've always sort of been critical, maybe. You know, you've been able to break him. I'm just wondering what that process is like, where you got to be honest for your guys, but maybe it's like, man, this is my own son. You know what I'm saying? That push-pull a little bit.
Yeah, I think, you know, I do think this. I mean, you know, life is about experiences and stuff, and I think that I'm a better coach having 2 kids who've progressed to this level. So when I watch him, when I study him, I kind of marvel that he's become what he's become in a way. Because you know, do you expect it as a dad? You know, you never know if that's really going to happen, right? I mean, there's just so many players out there. There's so many kids. So I am impressed with my son as far as what he's done. But at the same time, I'm critical. He could have done this or could have done that, but I'm at a distance, right? So I don't see him every day, so I have to kind of respect his space. He's 22 years old, and just sort of kind of guide him and pick and choose my battles a little bit.
Did you find yourself watching more than scouting?
When I watch the games, I watch. But now that I've gotten into the scouting portion of it, you know, I see all the little things he does. He's a very good screener. He's a very good passer. Leads them in assists, at the top with steals. You know, so there's the little things about the game. It's not just the scoring the points, but I think he's a good leader. You know, I've always taught the boys to be good leaders. You know, can you raise people up? And you know, I think he's done a good job with that.
What about for Brown overall? What challenge are they going to
Yeah, I mean, I tell you guys, I mean, they have talent. I mean, Lily is a player. He can get a shot on his own. He can get a shot from other people because people are looking for him. They run a ton of stuff for him. They run most of the things through Lily and through Paxson. And then their big guys are athletic and long. They've won 5 straight. They've won, what, 5 on the road or 4 on the road? 5 straight in a road? 5 straight. Yeah, 5 straight on the road. I mean, they could easily be, what are they, 6-4? They could easily be 8-2. You know, the first game against Vermont, at Vermont's a tough game. Then they play a Colgate that's used to winning, and they really don't have the rotation down at all. They don't know really where they're getting their shots. And then since then, they've kind of figured that out. They've turned the ball over a ton at Loyola, Maryland, where they should have won that game. And so they've cleaned a lot of that up. And I think it'll be a challenging game. I think it'll be a fun game. You know, I think that they have a legitimate chance to be one of the top 4 teams in the Ivy League to make the tournament. In the Ivy League, there's 8 schools, and only 4 teams, the top 4 teams, make the tournament. And I think they'll have a chance to do that. I don't know if you saw, like last night, Miami of Florida beats Cornell 107-105. So there's good players, there's good basketball in the Ivy League, particularly with Penn, Princeton, Yale, and Harvard. So, anything else, Doug?
You looking forward to this, or are you looking forward to it to be over?
Oh yeah,
I don't know how if you're going to be stressing through it. Or...
No, it's great. I'll get to see them tomorrow, and I don't know if Max mentioned to you, I'm real close with him. Their assistant coach, TJ Sorrentine, he may have mentioned it, he may not. Based on, Jim should know this, and if Jim doesn't know this, I'm really disappointed. But he's the guy that hit the shot to beat Syracuse and Worcester in 05 that allowed us to play Vermont in the second round, which allowed us to advance to Austin to beat Duke and Kentucky in the same weekend. So TJ's the assistant there. He's an all-time great at Vermont. So I get to see him and them, and then Coach Martin. They have to spend the night at the Westin down at the Detroit airport because, you know, Ivy League, they commercial, they don't charter. So he's letting the boys go to dinner with us, and then they're going to Uber to the Detroit airport tomorrow, Saturday night.
Nice.
Just think,
Enjoy.
too much longer, and they'll be the ones paying the bills for you.